Calls today from the Trump administration for Iran's government to stop blocking Instagram and other messaging apps used by activists to plan rallies. Now, protests, they're still ongoing today. They started last week. This despite an apparent crackdown on demonstrations. More than 20 people have been killed and hundreds arrested in protests across Iran. The demonstrations have been described as the boldest challenge to the country's leadership in nearly a decade. Frustrations over a flagging economy and a spike in food prices sparked the unrest, which has since turned more political. Iran's supreme leader breaking his silence today on the widespread protests, blaming the demonstrations on what he calls his country's enemies. No mention, though, of any enemies by name. But Donald Trump has shown his support for protesters with tweets like this one saying the people of Iran are finally acting against the brutal and corrupt Iranian regime. All of the money that President Obama so foolishly gave them went into terrorism and into their pockets. The people have little food, big inflation, and no human rights. The U.S. is watching. And the U.S. ambassador to the United Nations saying an emergency UN session on Iran is expected in a matter of days.
By the thousands, Iranian citizens are taking to the streets to protest the oppression of their own government. It takes great bravery for the Iranian people to use the power of their voice against their government, especially when their government has a long history of murdering its own people who dare to speak the truth.
And in Pakistan today, anti-Trump protests hitting the streets. This a reaction to a tweet from the president, which said the United States has foolishly given Pakistan more than $33 billion in aid over the last 15 years, and they have given us nothing but lies and deceit, thinking of our leaders as fools. They give safe haven to the terrorists we hunt in Afghanistan. With little help, no more. Pakistan's prime minister calling a cabinet meeting today focusing on Trump's tweet. And the White House press secretary saying today the U.S. wants Pakistan to do more to fight terrorism and saying there'll be more actions against that country within the next 24 to 48 hours.